Hello, and welcome to a special episode of Coaching You Through All Things Education podcast. I'm your host, Anne Labangana Clay of ANC Unlimited, and tonight we're going to read The Lost Lake by Alan Say. I went to live with Dad last summer, and every day he worked in his room from morning to night, sometimes on weekends too. Dad wasn't much of a talker, but when he was busy, he didn't talk at all. I didn't know anybody in the city, so I stayed home most of the time. It was too hot to play outside anyway. In 1 month, I finished all of the books I brought and grew tired of watching TV. One morning, I started cutting pictures out of old magazines just to be doing something. They were pictures of mountains and rivers and lakes, and some showed people fishing and canoeing. Looking at them made me feel cool, so I pinned them up in my room. Dad didn't notice them for 2 days. When he did, he looked at them one by one. "Nice pictures," he said. "Are you angry with me, Dad?" I asked, because I knew that he saved old magazines for his work. It's all right," he said. I'm having this place painted soon anyway." He thought that I was talking about the marks that I'd made on the wall. Well, that Saturday, Dad woke me up early in the morning and told me we were going camping. I was wide awake in a second. He gave me a pair of brand new hiking boots to try out. They were perfect. And in the hallway, I saw a big backpack and a knapsack all packed and ready to go. "What's in them, Dad?" I asked. "Later," he said. "We have a long drive ahead of us." In the car, I didn't ask any more questions because Dad was a little grumpy in the morning. "Want a sip?" he asked, handing me his mug. He'd never let me drink his coffee before. It had lots of sugar in it. "Where are we going?" I finally asked. "We're off to the Lost Lake, my lad." "How can you lose a lake?" "No one's found it, that's how." Dad was smiling. He continued, "Grandpa and I used to go there a long time ago. It was our special place, so don't tell any of your friends." "Oh, I'll never tell," I promised. "How long are we going to stay there?" 5 days, maybe a week. "We're going to sleep outside for a whole week?" "That's the idea," Dad said. Oh boy. We got to the mountains in the afternoon. "It's a bit of a hike to the lake, son," Dad said. "Well, I don't mind," I told him. "Are there any fish in the lake?" "Oh, I hope so. We'll have to catch our dinner, you know." "You didn't bring any food?" "Of course not. We're going to live like true outdoorsmen." "Oh," I said. Dad saw my face and he started to laugh. He must have been joking. I didn't think we were going very far anyway, because Dad's pack was so heavy I couldn't even lift it. Well, Dad was like a mountain goat. He went straight up the trail, whistling all the while. But I was gasping in no time. My knapsack got very heavy, and I started to fall behind. Dad stopped for me often, but he wouldn't let me take off my pack. If I did, I'd be too tired to go on, he said. It was almost supper time when we got to the lake. The place reminded me of the park near Dad's apartment. He wasn't whistling or humming anymore. "Welcome to the found lake," he muttered from the side of his mouth. "What's wrong, Dad? Do you want to camp with all of these people around?" "I don't mind," I said. "Well, I do." Are we going home then?" "Of course not." He didn't even take off his pack. He just turned and started to walk away. Soon the lake was far out of sight, and then it started to rain. Dad gave me a poncho and it kept me dry, but I wondered where we were going to sleep that night. I wondered what we were going to eat for dinner, and I wasn't so sure about camping anymore. I was glad when Dad finally stopped and set up the tent. The rain and the wind beat against it, but we were warm and cozy inside. And Dad had brought food. For dinner, we had salami and dried apricots. "I'm sorry about the lake," I said. He shook his head. "You know something, Luke? There aren't any secret places left in the world anymore." "Well, what if we go far up into the mountains? Maybe we can find our own lakes," I suggested. "There are lots of lakes up there, but that one was special." "But we've got a whole week, Dad." "Well, why not? Maybe we'll find a lake that's not on the map," he said. "Sure we will." We started out early in the morning, and when the fog cleared, we saw other hikers ahead of us. Sure enough, Dad became very glum. "We're going cross-country, partner," he said. "Won't we get lost? A wise man never leaves home without his compass." So we went off the trail. The hills went on, and the mountains went on and on. It was kind of lonesome. It seemed as if Dad and I were the only people left on this world. And then we hiked into a big forest. At noontime, we stopped by a creek and ate lunch and drank ice-cold water straight from the stream. I threw rocks in the water, and fish like shadows darted in the pools. "Isn't this a great place to camp, Dad?" "I thought we were looking for our lake," he said. "Oh, yeah, right," I mumbled. It was dark when we got out of the forest. We built a fire, and that made me feel better. Wild animals wouldn't come near a fire. Dad cooked beef stroganoff, and it was delicious. Later, it was bedtime. The sleeping bag felt wonderful, And Dad and I started to count the shooting stars. But then I worried that maybe we weren't going to find our lake. What are you thinking about? I don't know, Dad. I didn't know you could cook like that, I said. Dad laughed. That was only freeze-dried stuff. When we get home, I'll cook you something really special. You know something, Dad? You seem like a different person up here. Better or worse, he asked. Oh, a lot better. Well, how so? You talk more, I said. I'll have to talk more often then. And that made me smile. And then I slept. Dad shook me awake in the morning. The sun was just coming up and turning everything gold and orange and yellow. And there was the lake right in front of us. For a long time, we watched the light change on the water, getting brighter and brighter. Dad didn't say a word the whole time. But then I didn't have anything to say either. And after breakfast, we climbed a mountain and saw our lake below us. There wasn't a sign of people anywhere. It really seemed as if Dad and I were all alone in the world, and I liked it just fine. Well, thank you for joining us for The Lost Lake by Alan Say, and join us next time for our story hour. Have a good evening. Rest well. Now, a word from our sponsor. Want to start your own podcast? Start with Anchor FM. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it is absolutely free. They also have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor FM will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple, and many more podcast apps. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast, all in one place. So, if you're interested, please download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Well, that concludes another episode of Coaching You Through All Things Education podcast. As Confucius states, those who develop the ability to continuously acquire new and better forms of knowledge that they can apply to their work and to their lives will be the movers and shakers in our society for the indefinite future. Again, you can find me on LinkedIn or on our company Facebook page, A&C Unlimited. And please take a moment to visit our website at afunlimited.org for that free consultation. Until next time, stay stress-free and be well.